Okay guys, so this is a kind of a unique video in that it wasn't really a true salvage job, but it involved a 50-foot mainship that hit some rocks and sunk. And what we needed to do for this job was raise one side of the boat high enough so that a crew could come with a pump and an environmental cleanup crew and pump out the diesel fuel that was on board this boat. So that's this job, and I'll talk through what's going on. And also just a quick update, I have a full-time job in the fall, and for me towboat is a full-time job in the summer, and then once my job starts in the fall, then I come in on weekends and stuff, and the work slows down in Boston anyway, so it kind of works out. But that's why the videos kind of have been slowing down. It's not been as busy in the harbor, but I have some stuff saved up. I'll have some new videos soon. But that's what this video is. It's a special kind of salvage job where we just needed to pump the fuel out. So what you saw so far is early morning. Got on scene. The tide's going out here, and what we're doing is we have a diver in the water, and he's rigging up a lift bag on this low corner here, and we're gonna try to inflate it enough that as the tide goes out, we'll be able to inflate the bag and keep the side that's low high enough so that when this environmental crew comes, they can get their hose in the fuel fill and pump out the remaining diesel that's on board. This was kind of unique because of the situation. We didn't have a contract for the salvage, but we did need to get the fuel out of the boat for environmental purposes, so that was taken care of. And so yeah, that's what this video is, and stay tuned. I'll keep you updated on what's going on.
Alright, so we're going to make up this end. We'll take the slack out of your end, right? After that.
When we're okay, so we're rigging that bag on the low side, and once we rig the bag, then we have to get air to the bag. So what we're doing now is setting up the air hose that's going to go out to the bag, and then we'll get what we call our manifold here. We connect the air line from the lift bag to the manifold, and then we can either connect straight to a scuba tank using this little whip that I pulled out, and I get the scuba tank ready. But we ended up going with a second option, which is to have an air line coming out of a compressor going into the manifold. And we weren't sure how much air we were going to use, and just to be on the safe side, instead of draining our air for diving, we went with using the compressor. So this line I'm getting now, this air line, is going to go from the compressor to the manifold, and then we'll crank the compressor up and we'll start to fill that bag that's on the low side. See now the bag that we had rigged is inflated somewhat. It can still get some more air in there, but it's not doing too much. We have some other options we could do to get that side out of the water more. We could rig another bag, we also have a line tied to the fly bridge that if we had to, we could hook a tow line to it. You can see that black line hanging down there, and we could start to try to heel the boat over a little more with a towboat if we had to. In this case, the plan we're going to go with is rigging a second and then eventually a third bag to help get the boat listing in the correct direction to get that fuel fill out of the water so we can pump the fuel out. So as you can see here, we have two air lines going from the manifold out to two airbags, and we're currently filling them up. Now I'm going to go on board and take a look and see what it looks like down below. And one thing to remember is that we get a pretty good tidal swing in Boston, so at high tide all of this is underwater, and you'll see at the end of the video I come back at high tide and take a look at what the boat looks like when the tide is up, so stay tuned for what that looks like. Just taking another look on board and going up to the fly bridge. This area is usually out of the water for the most part, but I just wanted to come up and take a look at some of the damage up here. As you can see, it was a gorgeous day. Not too windy, just a little bit of chop, but perfect conditions for what we needed to do today. We're trying to do this for longer line. This is a really awesome aerial shot that just kind of captures the whole operation. Rick and I are getting the third bag ready now. That's going to go more midship because we're not quite there yet in terms of getting the fuel fill out of the water. So we'll rig another bag, we'll get another air hose out to the bag, and we'll inflate it and see if that gets us the lift we need just to get that fuel fill out of the water. So now we got the manifold open and we're filling up the bags. Here comes the crew from the environmental cleanup company, and they're going to swing their boat around alongside. They'll get a hose to us that will get into the fuel fill, and they'll turn their pump on, and they will pump whatever remaining diesel fuel is in the tank, and the mission will be accomplished. Are they tying way up there, Rick? Okay. Yep. There, Rick? Okay. Looks like they just have a garden hose they're gonna stuff down in there. Do you need a deck key or something? So now we're gonna open up the fuel fill. The environmental company will pass their hose. We'll put the hose down into the fuel fill as far down as we can get it, and we will pump out whatever we can in terms of diesel fuel. There's the hose from that environmental company that's going to go in there, and you can see Tim takes the hose, going to put it in the fuel fill, and then they start pumping. So I'm just going over to turn the compressor on and make sure that air stays in those bags and just keeps that corner nice and high for the duration of the pump out. Alright, so the environmental guys pumped out what they could. Nothing else was coming out of the tank, so they're going to take the hose, clean up, and head out. All done? Alright. So we're going to wrap up here. We're all going to head out and head back to our marina. This boat unfortunately is going to stay there. The circumstances with the salvage are still kind of up in the air, and who knows, we may get the job and you may see a video where we eventually raise this and get it out of the water, but for now this is where she's going to stay. So I told you I was going to come back at high tide, and this is what that same boat looks like when the tide's up. So just about up to the fly bridge is out of the water, and you can see where we were standing earlier and walking around is now completely submerged. So whenever this salvage does happen, if it does, it's definitely going to be tricky. So stay tuned for that if we get the job, and if not, I'll see you on the next one.